Did you know that in 2025, it's illegal to wear certain colors on specific days in one country? Or that you could be fined for walking your pet fish in public? Yeah, you heard that right. The world is full of strange and unexpected laws that will leave you wondering, what were they thinking? Stick around as we explore 10 of the weirdest laws from around the world that are still in place in 2025. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Number 1. Let's start with a law from Sweden. In this country, there are strict regulations about what you can and can't do in your own bedroom, especially if your neighbors can hear you. That's right, making too much noise during private moments could land you in trouble. This law stems from Sweden's strong cultural emphasis on respecting personal boundaries and avoiding unnecessary disturbances in shared living spaces. Historically, Swedish society has placed a high value on tranquility and peace, especially in densely populated areas where apartments are close together. Noise complaints can lead to serious penalties, including fines and legal warnings. The law isn't just about loud sounds from private moments. It covers any noise that disrupts a neighbor's peace. For example, loud music, noisy pets, or even moving furniture at odd hours could result in a formal complaint. Interestingly, Swedish officials have taken these complaints very seriously, leading to some neighbors engaging in passive-aggressive behavior, like knocking on walls or floors to signal that someone is being too loud. While the law might sound strange to outsiders, Swedes see it as an essential part of maintaining harmonious living conditions in urban areas. It highlights the country's respect for privacy and personal space, which are considered core values. Number 2. Moving on to Italy. Did you know that it's illegal to die in certain towns? Yes, you heard that correctly. The town of Falciano del Masico banned dying in 2012 because their cemetery was full. And guess what? This law still exists in 2025. Now you might be wondering how they can possibly enforce such a law. Of course, it's not like people can control when they die. The law was introduced as a form of protest to highlight the town's lack of burial space. Town officials were trying to pressure the government into approving new land for a cemetery. But here's a fun twist. Local legends say that the law also stemmed from a fear that certain scandalous behavior, especially involving secret affairs, would be exposed upon someone's death when hidden relationships might come to light. The law has since become a source of humor and folklore in the town, with residents joking that staying healthy is now mandatory to avoid legal trouble. The absurdity of the law also draws attention to the serious issue of overcrowded cemeteries across Europe. Many towns have had to get creative with burial practices, including vertical burials or even renting grave plots for a limited number of years. It's a fascinating blend of humor, protest, and practical governance that shows how society often uses humor to deal with uncomfortable truths. Number 3. In Victoria, Australia, it's illegal to change a light bulb unless you're a licensed electrician. Now, you might be thinking, how dangerous can changing a light bulb really be? But this law is more about electrical safety than micromanaging daily chores. Electrical accidents in Australia have been a significant concern, with improper handling of fixtures leading to injuries and even house fires. The government decided that even something as seemingly simple as changing a light bulb should be done by a qualified professional to minimize these risks. If caught breaking this law, you could face a fine of up to 10,000 Australian dollars. But here's the catch. Some locals jokingly say that the law came about because of incidents involving light bulbs being used in rather creative ways during intimate moments. While that's likely an urban myth, it's interesting how stories like these can shape public perception of seemingly mundane laws. Despite the humor, the law is a reminder of Australia's strict safety regulation. It sparks ongoing debates about personal responsibility versus government intervention. Many Australians find the law outdated and impractical, but it remains a good example of the country's commitment to minimizing risks in everyday life. Number 4. All right, let's head over to Japan. Here, it's illegal to be overweight. The country has a Metabo law, which requires citizens between the ages of 40 and 74 to have their waistlines measured annually. If they exceed the government limits, they must attend weight loss programs designed to improve their health. Interestingly, this law doesn't just target individuals. Companies are also held responsible for ensuring their employees maintain a healthy lifestyle. Employers must provide regular health checkups and wellness programs, or they risk facing penalties. While this law is seen as a public health initiative, it has also had some unintended social consequences. Some people have reported feeling uncomfortable discussing their waist measurements, especially in social settings or within family. For instance, there are stories of romantic partners feeling pressured to stay within the acceptable limits to avoid embarrassment or social stigma. Critics argue that this has led to increased body shaming and anxiety around physical appearance, which can impact personal relationships. Interestingly, the law has also sparked debates about what it means to be healthy, with some questioning whether a person's waist size is a true indicator of their overall well-being. Supporters of the law argue that it has helped reduce the rates of lifestyle-related diseases in Japan, such as diabetes and hypertension, making it a successful public health campaign. However, the cultural implications continue to spark controversy, particularly around how health policies can affect personal freedoms and societal norms. Number 5. In the United States, specifically in the state of Vermont, it's illegal to whistle underwater. Now, we have questions. Who's even capable of doing that? And why would you need a law to stop it? This quirky law originates from old swimming pool regulations aimed at preventing disruption and maintaining order in public pools. The idea was that whistling underwater could confuse lifeguards or signal false alarms. But there's also a playful side to this law. It's been suggested that underwater whistling was sometimes used as a secret signal for playful flirtations or mischievous behavior. Imagine being in a pool and hearing someone's whistle, only to discover it was meant as a subtle invitation for some fun. Over time, these playful interactions might have become disruptive enough to prompt pool officials to implement a rule against it. Today, the law remains on the books, though it's rarely enforced. Instead, it serves as a humorous reminder of how regulations can sometimes have unexpected backstories. It also highlights the quirky ways communities tried to maintain order and safety in public spaces while navigating evolving social behavior. It's a curious piece of legal history that makes you wonder what other unusual laws exist for seemingly trivial actions. Number 6. Here's a unique one from France. It's illegal to publicly display certain intimate items in shop windows. This law aims to maintain public decency and prevent inappropriate exposure to minors. But the regulation doesn't stop at just window displays. It extends to advertisement and even certain types of products. Critics argue that the law stifles creativity, especially for businesses in the fashion and beauty industries. Supporters, however, believe that it preserves traditional cultural values and ensures that public spaces remain family-friendly. Interestingly, some businesses have found creative ways to work around the law. For example, they use artistic silhouettes or abstract designs to hint at their products without violating the regulation. There have also been cases where stores used mannequins posed in suggestive ways, pushing the boundaries of what's considered acceptable. This playful approach to marketing within legal limits shows how businesses can adapt to restrictions while still drawing attention. The law continues to spark debate, especially in modern times when societal norms around decency and freedom of expression are evolving. Number 7. In Germany, you can be fined for running out of fuel on the Autobahn. The famous highway has strict rules to ensure smooth traffic flow. Stopping unnecessarily considered both dangerous and disruptive. But here's an unexpected twist. Urban legends suggest that some people used to intentionally stop their cars on quiet sections of the Autobahn for, let's say, romantic encounters. These secluded spots became infamous for being used as impromptu meeting places, leading authorities to crack down on such behavior. Imagine the embarrassment of explaining to a police officer that your car ran out of fuel by accident while you're in the middle of nowhere with someone special. While these stories may sound like myths, they reflect how laws can sometimes have surprising backstories. Beyond the romantic tales, the rule is also about practicality. When cars are traveling at extremely high speed, any unexpected stop can create a dangerous chain reaction, so keeping cars moving is essential for safety. It's a good reminder to always plan ahead and keep an eye on your fuel gauge before embarking on a journey on Germany's famous highway. But maybe some drivers are keeping an extra bottle of wine in the trunk just in case they find themselves stranded with company. Number 8. Ever heard of a law banning certain baby names? In Denmark, parents must choose from an approved list of baby names. The government introduced this law to protect children from being given names that could cause embarrassment or harm. The list includes thousands of names, each vetted for cultural and linguistic appropriateness. If parents want to choose a name not on the list, they must apply for special approval. But here's where it gets interesting. Some names have been rejected because they have inappropriate meanings in other languages, or they sound too suggestive. For example, a name that sounds perfectly innocent in Danish could be a slang term for something naughty in English or French. Imagine a couple thinking they've chosen a beautiful name for their baby, only to find out that it's slang for something inappropriate abroad. The law ensures that children aren't unintentionally given names that could lead to awkward situations as they grow up. It also reflects Denmark's desire to maintain social harmony and avoid unnecessary conflict, but it has sparked debates about whether the government has the right to interfere in such a personal decision. Some parents have pushed the boundaries, submitting names that hint at romantic or sensual themes, only to be swiftly rejected by officials. The law might seem strict, but it ensures that children are spared any unintended embarrassment later in life. Number 9. In Canada, it's illegal to pay for items with too many coins. The Currency Act limits how many coins you can use in a single transaction. This law was introduced to prevent people from paying with excessive coins as a form of protest or annoyance. For instance, imagine someone trying to pay their taxes or fines entirely in pennies. It would be a logistical nightmare. But there's a playful side to this law too. Stories have emerged of people attempting to pay for certain, let's say, adult-themed purchases with bags of small change, turning the transaction into a public spectacle. Imagine showing up to a store with a bag full of coins to buy something from a risque section. It certainly would draw attention. The law helps prevent such antics and ensures smoother business operations. However, the fact that people even thought of doing this shows how creative individuals can be when it comes to bending the rules for a bit of fun. While the law might seem outdated, it remains in place to keep financial transactions efficient and practical. But it also reflects how laws can be used to maintain decorum in public spaces, even when customers are trying to make cheeky statements with their purchases. Number 10. And finally, in Singapore, it's illegal to chew gum unless it's for medical purposes. The law was introduced to keep the streets clean, as discarded gum was causing maintenance issues in public spaces. But there's another layer to this law. Some reports suggest that gum was also used to tamper with public infrastructure, such as sticking it on door sensors or surveillance cameras. Interestingly, there's a rumor that the strict gum ban also served as a way to curb certain rebellious behaviors associated with youth culture, including sneaky meetups and flirtatious encounters. Imagine teenagers using chewing gum as a way to leave secret messages for each other or mark meeting spots. The government's strict stance on gum also reflects its broader approach to maintaining order and discipline in public spaces. Today, while the ban has softened to allow medicinal gum, it's still largely prohibited, making Singapore's streets some of the cleanest in the world. But the gum ban isn't just about cleanliness. It also shows how seemingly small habits can have a bigger social impact, especially when tied to behaviors that authorities want to discourage. It's a fascinating example of how a law can influence culture and even romantic interactions in unexpected ways. There you have it, 10 weird laws that are still in place in 2025. Which of these laws surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to Brain Buzz for more fascinating content. And remember, shine bright and dream big. See you in the next video.